Hello, my name's Tony Keller.
And my name is Tom French, and this is the T&T Health and Performance Podcast. I'd like to welcome David Harrington here. It's an absolute privilege to have you here today, David. And I'm looking forward to getting stuck into a bit of your background, how you got to where you are today. And I know we had a little talk before there regarding obviously training and that type of stuff. But can you tell us how you got into Strongman?
Jesus, I was living in Long for a couple of years, and there was a gym here in town called the Horsepower Gym, and a guy called Casper's. He used to run it with Eddie, who currently runs it. And I used to kind of just mess around with weights for the crack, and I was always kind of trying to find something that I enjoyed doing because I was never really into sports. And I was in his gym training away, and I remember one guy, Casper, came up to me, and he just says to me, he's like, "You're very strong for a small man," you know. and I was like, "Oh, thanks." And he's like,
And how long ago was that?
I think it was about 2016.
And had you been lifting before when you were younger, or?
No, just tipping about for about a year or two, kind of lifting a few bits in the house and that, you know, like getting a pump on. Typical kind of younger lifter, like training age wise younger, like, because I wasn't that young. But yeah, and he just turned around to me then about a week or two later and said he was running a competition. And he said, "Did I want to enter?" And I think he was just trying to fill the numbers, like, and I was like, yeah, sure, go on, I'll do it for the crack, like. And
that was a strongman competition?
It was a strongman competition. It was under 90 kilos. And at the time, I think it was only about 80, 84, 85, naturally, just sitting there, and more body fat than anything else. And I ended up coming third in the competition, like, so, and I was ecstatic, and I kind of got the bug, as they call it then.
Yeah.
Kind of, whenever there was competitions that were kind of near to hand, because I wasn't driving, I would have jumped in on them. So I think the next one was 2 years later, and then another one then again, I think it was a year later after that, and then we got locked down, and I was, right, what am I going to do? I like lifting heavy stuff. So, and then during lockdown, And
did you have all the equipment at home then?
No, I didn't have any equipment. I was kind of being.
How did you manage to?
Extremely adaptation.
Lifting the beds and sofas.
Anything you can think of. Like, I was finding pieces of steel here, and I'd be strapping it on with making tape to a bar. And just anything at all that I could. If I found something, like the Facebook market is massive. You can find bits and pieces. And so what I did is I threw up a tarp on the back of the house and built the gym outside.
Very good.
During lockdown, just progressed through training out there. And then as soon as the lockdown was lifted, I was adamant that I was going to pursue the sport and get as involved as possible as I could, like, so.
Very good. So, like, that is one of the things, you know, people say making excuses for, say, not having equipment, not having time, and, you know, there's always time, there's always stuff you can use. You don't actually need anything to lift or train. So fair play for doing that, for starters. And so your main first competition was how many years after that then? So you obviously the first one. How many years after that sort of event did you do your first competition?
I did a new blood competition. It was up north. David Warner was he was running that. I can't remember the name of the gym offhand now, but it was my first kind of, you know, big kind of. There was loads of weight classes, like there was under 80s, under 90s, like big guys, and there was females as well, which is something I had never seen before. I knew that it existed, but I'd never seen it before. I was absolutely blown away. Just it was a 10-hour long day. You know, it was crazy. I ended up, I think it was 8 out of 18, but I was just
good.
I didn't care. I was just going there to have fun, like. And, I've met so many nice people. Even to this day, when I meet them at a competition, it's just straight away
cheering you on,
instant just chat, as if we were not talking to each other yesterday. Like, it's something about strongman, like the warm up area in the gym. You make the best of friends in it, like, and everybody is there. And I could walk out onto a platform to lift, and I could be about to beat another guy, and he will be standing beside me roaring
cheering you on, to
tell me to lift it. And if I'm just about to fail it, he will roar, "Pick it up, come on, keep going." And he doesn't care if I'm going to beat him. He's telling me to win, like, you know.
It's something, obviously, the numbers for the strongman sport, I know for years ago were pretty low.
Yeah.
And I know by looking at, say, even in Ireland at the moment, that the numbers are actually increasing, and especially on the female side. Now, obviously, the female side has been increasing in most sport, but maybe you might break down how, the organisation. Is there many organisations in Ireland? Is there many events?
What was happening with the sport originally was there was always really small promoters doing local events.
Yeah.
And, there was always like the ultimate strongman coming over doing these national events. And I think they stopped for a couple of years. I don't know why. I wouldn't even like to try and explain it because I just don't know. But it didn't happen. And there was a void there, a big massive void. And then the guys that I train with at the moment, GSP, Matty Costello is the guy, the head coach up there. And
Matty's based in Galway.
Yeah, and then Aisha Ula is up there as well. And so they started to run kind of
their own in-house
competitions, but also kind of expanding around. And like they did a strongman league, which was something that hadn't been done before. So there was like 4 competitions in the year. There was one up north, one down south, one in GSP, and then I can't remember where the other one was, but it was, around the country. So you weren't just having to travel, everybody's going up north 4 times in the year, or everybody's going to Galway, which was a good thing because then you were getting more people who could be interested in the
bigger
sport.
interest, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, but some people just might not be able to travel the 5 hours for a competition and back again because of commitment at work or kids or whatever. So the league, then the first year of it was good, the numbers were decent enough. It happened again last year, and the numbers were even better again. And there's actually a competition tomorrow. I have 3 clients who are competing.
Very good. Where's that?
It's in Galway. It's the first one.
Is that Matty's place as well?
Yeah, it's the first league of 24, and he's got 24 athletes in the novice division. So
very good.
It's going to be
that's a large number.
Mental. And then
that's between male and female.
No, just male.
Just male.
Yeah, the league is male. There is a female league that is Strongwoman Ireland.
Yeah.
And Strongwoman Ireland has really kicked off in the last couple of years as well. More so in the last 2 years. There's a committee there. There's a lot of strength female athletes who are driven and really behind trying to get more females into the sport. But it's starting to take legs, especially in the natural side of things.
Yeah.
Because there's the INSF, which is...
I was going to ask that. So I'll come back to that down the line if that's okay.
Yeah, that's no worries, yeah.
So how many competitions for yourself, say example last year, 2023, did you compete
in? I think in 23 I did 8 competitions.
8 competitions?
Yeah. It's a lot.
So when would your season start, say for the first competition to the last competition?
There's no season.
No season. So that could be random anytime.
It's all go.
Okay, so how do you break down your training? So how would you, example, get yourself peaking for each competition if you really, if they're spread all over the place?
Like before I was being coached by Matty, I tried to run from the best of knowledge that I had, which I kind of knew that you needed to run your body through phases of, certain things. Yeah. So you build for a few weeks, you give yourself a bit of a rest, then you try and peak on a maximum maybe, and then you give yourself a rest, and then you build again and repetitive around, and then you try to fit it in as best as you can with the competitions that are coming around. Well, I said I was only doing competitions every now and again at that point. Yeah. I'd say...
So you started knowing in advance, I've got 6 weeks before...
But I usually had about 6 months.
Okay.
So you know what I mean? Whereas with Matty, I feel so sorry for the man because I'd be sending him a message, Jesus, Matty, I'm after signing up for another competition. It's in
3 weeks time.
And he's probably saying, how am I supposed to peak this man?
Yeah.
And then he would always come back to me, like, right, we're going to treat that one like a training day.
Yeah.
So, and then he would kind of give me a mini deload or something before it. And then I would approach that competition like a training day, more so to be geared up for something that was coming after.
Very good. So for listeners and anybody watching, it's important to understand the training philosophy. Mm-hmm. And what would your typical training week be? Obviously, we know you're going to load, say, from week to week, month to month, competition to competition, but you generally need a really good strength base for that type of training.
Yeah, consistency is key to gaining strength. So it's massive, cliche, consistency is key, and everybody, all these buzzwords and phrases, but it's true. And you couldn't get a truer one that's out there. My week, every week is nearly the same, unless I have an event. The event week is obviously a lot lighter, only 2 workouts, just to keep the body, firing and everything knows that it needs to be used. But my general week is Monday, when I'm finished with my clients in the morning, I will work out. And I'll work out for anything from an hour and a half to 2 hours. And that workout is generally based around a squat with a deadlift as an accessory. Like.
And so you have certain days, you do certain lifts. So how many times would you squat in a week?
Usually twice. But one of the days is not a heavy squat. One of the days is more of an accessory squat. And
how many would you add accessory exercises onto your lifts?
Yeah. So like I'd have two upper days, 2 lower days.
Okay.
One day upper is squat focus. One day lower is squat focused, and the other day is deadlift focused. Or it could be an event, say if I have a farmer's walk or something like that. And then the other days, then one of them is a major focus for upper, so anything overhead,
press and
axle
overhead.
press, log press, a couple of dumbbells, whatever events that are coming up. We try to be specific as we can towards them. And then there's one kind of major upper accessory day, which is just dumbbell work, shoulder stability work. I kind of focus on things that might be a little bit of a weak point for me, like so. Biceps.
Very good. And how long? So you have an event example in 3 weeks' time.
The 30th of March. So 3 or 4 weeks.
Do you already know the exercises that are in that event?
Yeah,
and the weights.
When the promoters announce the event, generally they'll throw it up online, Facebook, and there'll be an event page, and they'll drip feed information, So this is when it's happening, guys. Just to get everybody gets excited.
Get you excited. I wonder what's happening here.
And then they were like, "All right, here's the events," but they won't tell you what weight it is. So you're like, "Excuse me." You're like, "Oh, this is brilliant," and then you're like, "I like that exercise," and I wonder if the weight's okay with that. I might be all right,
Yeah.
And so they'll be expecting people to sign up just knowing what the events are, and then they introduce what the weights are.
Have you ever signed up and said, "Oh shit, I'm not even for that"? Have you ever seen anything that
in the beginning
scared you really before you entered? Or
in the beginning, as a novice strongman, I was just like, I was afraid to sign up for competitions with heavier weights because my own abilities. I didn't trust that. What if I can't do it? What if I get up on that stage or that platform and I can't lift it? And I'm the only one that can't lift it. And I think everybody has that in themselves.
I think everybody has that fear in competitions, especially when you're starting. Yeah.
So then there was a couple of competitions there. For example, that first blood one, when I looked at the weights, and they were pretty heavy. There was like this frame deadlift, and it was 140 kilos for reps. Like maybe it could have been 160. I can't remember exactly, but it was heavy. And it was a big, huge frame that was out very, very wide. And it was for repetitions. And I think when I was training, I was only getting like 4, and I was like, how am I going to get up here and do 4 reps? And I think the guy,
the adrenaline and the atmosphere.
I think I ended up pulling 8 on the day. But the guy who won
50% more than what you did.
The guy who won got 14. And so that can be a bit disheartening in one sense if you don't look at things from the sport as it should be looked at. It's me against me. I'm not going in there to compete. Like, yes, I would like to win, or I would like to take a podium, but my main goal most of the time is when I approach an event is to try and PB, just to get a personal best.
You're fighting against yourself, basically.
I'm fighting against myself. Like, for an example, in that particular competition, there's a young man called Kyle Scott. Now, Kyle, it was his first ever competition. He had this heavy hoodie on, he didn't look like much. And I was like, Jesus, I wonder if what category he's in. And I thought he was actually in one under me, but he was actually in my category. I can't remember how he placed that day, but he did really well. Better than me anyway. And he literally walked away with Ireland's Natural Strongest Man 2 years ago. Like, stole the show. And then he ended up going to the UKNS and the Worlds. Did really, really well. Yeah. All in the progression of a couple of years. Like, but this fellow was an animal. Like, but it's really, really easy to kind of compare myself to him and be like, oh Jesus, I'm never going to be this because he walked away with nearly every competition I competed against him in. Like, but I can't think like that. I have to be,
because sometimes it's too far away, and some people are so natural as well. That
genetics has a major thing to play in it. Like, me as a hobbit, it's very hard for me to try and build certain levers in my body. Like, but he also has age on his side, and his metabolism is a lot faster. And then other things like my commitments outside of training are massive. Family, work. I have a couple of jobs.
You're busy.
So I try to squeeze training in wherever I can, and I probably get about 5 hours of sleep a night.
So you work in the gym as well?
Yeah, I work here in the Longford Sports and Leisure Centre. I've been there for about 8 years.
And that's full time every day?
I work 40 hours a week for the company, and then I do personal training myself for clients, generally strength based. I do have a couple of other clients who are, you know, there for other reasons. I do advertise as a strength coach, but I will take on other people if they understand that being stronger will be better for them. You know,
I think space of the last 5 to 10 years, well, mainly the last 5 years, that strength is the key big word out there, and a lot of ladies now have actually started doing strength training, and they're not afraid to go to the gym. Before they say, "Oh, I can't be lifting weights." So strength has come through every aspect of fitness, from youth to seniors to older adults, for longevity. And I think obviously strength is the basis of all natural movement. So it is the key to, say, keeping your body right long term. It actually helps with the metabolism, fuel intake, and you know, I think with a good training and like the ideas that you have for your strongman, your job is to get stronger in certain things. And a lot of people just go into the gym and tip around, they lift a few weights here and there. They don't really, as you say, you've got your certain body parts, something like the bodybuilders do. The difference between obviously your sport and a bodybuilding sport that some people don't realize is bodybuilders are only looking to fatigue the muscle. And they're not naturally super strong, and you can get buffed and look strong, but not be strong. So like your sport is to get strong. It's like powerlifting or weightlifting. You know, it is about maximum load. How would you say to somebody on the outside? Could you give them a little snippet of how to get strong from week to week, or where would they start? Somebody that's thinking of going into the gym at the moment, somebody who's a bit lost, afraid to start training, you know, would you give them a little idea of, say, a typical client that you might see coming in and they're lost in there?
Like as part of working with Longford Sports and Leisure Centre, I was managing the gym there for about 2 years. You know, we would do what it's called an induction. Like, so you're bringing your client in and you're having a chat with them. Like my main goal was to just make that person feel comfortable. And
comfortable environment.
I generally wouldn't even bring up the conversation about strength, just more to try and make them comfortable. And when I go through anything to do with any of the exercises, but like if you're not feeling comfortable with something, you know, just leave it till another day. Leave it till your confidence comes up a bit. And I find, especially with the female clients, is that confidence is the biggest thing. Like they just don't think they have the ability to do so.
So it's just a matter of getting them in the door and letting them
once you
get
walk
into the
them around
environment,
the gym,
no matter what to do.
and then you can show them like specific exercises that they could be quite strong at, because you know, leg day and stuff like that. You know, so some of the machines. When you load them up and you put the pin on, I would gauge like, okay, this person might be strong in this area here because of levers and etc. And I'd let them do that exercise on the machine, say a leg extension, and I don't tell them what I'm putting on it. I'll just say, come on, try it out there, see how you get on. And then when they've done a couple of repetitions, I'm like, is it easy or hard? You know, it's pretty easy. You know, and I'll put a little bit more on, and I'd say nothing again. I don't really tell them how much is there, and I let them go again. And then when I get to a point where like they find it's a little bit hard, I'm like, well, that was 50 kilos.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, what? And I was like, yeah.
Can't believe it then.
Yeah, you know, and I
suppose to build that confidence and
but that's it, going. Like, you know, so they're kind of like nearly playing mind games, but it's positive, you know, and you're trying to make sure that that person feels as comfortable and as strong as possible, like, from the get-go.
Yeah, and like the reason I asked you that, you know, I think years ago when anybody new came into the gym, the first thing they do, well, I'm going to give you 10 minutes on the row machine, 10 minutes on the bike, 10 minutes on skier, and you've got 8 weeks of that before we start introducing some strength training to you. Yeah. Now it's obviously strength training first, and it's changed. Obviously, the instructors have got better. There's more certs out there. The knowledge is obviously cleaner.
I think obviously in years, the last couple of years, like, technology and, you know, just the information at hand has become so much better. So coaches, I think we spoke about earlier beforehand, was like, you know, years ago, football, run the pitch, you know,
run around laps.
Whereas now it's all right, guys, we'll spend 10 minutes mobilising before we even think about running, like, you know, and that's the way it should be.
And now, even at that in the sport, it's majority of the stuff is done with the ball. So most of the conditioning games, like I'm into the soccer, and like I was just talking to somebody on that earlier, that like 90% of our training is with the ball. Yeah. And before some people might not touch the ball for 6 weeks. Yeah. They're going to do so much running.
Like if they're doing like pre-season stuff.
Pre-season, you build it up and.
But that's one of the best things about like strongman. Just to bring it back slightly for a second, is like the sport itself. You were on about asking about the events that are coming up. Like, so all of our movements would be adapted to specific events. Like, so if I'm doing like a heavy carry, let's say on a frame with the shoulders, like the yoke carry, I will adapt to doing quarter squats with a heavy weight.
Yeah.
Rather than full depth squats, because when I'm picking that yoke, it's not going to be a full squat, so it's not specific to the movements. You know, so being specific to different needs and wants of clients is very important. Like,
and what the strongman people, because it's the name of it alone, strong man, strong woman.
Yeah.
And the first thing they think of is strength.
Yeah.
But a big part of those events, if you look at them, they might last maybe 30 seconds to maybe within a minute and a half. And like that's anaerobic capacity, which is really like it gets the heart rate up so high in a short period of time, because you're obviously moving heavy load fast as you can. And what kind of conditioning do you do for that itself? Do you do the event itself? And
before is
that done weekly, or is that?
I would do event training at least twice a week. But before I was with Matty, I might have done it at the end of the week, and I might have done it on its own.
Yeah.
As just a specific day where I'd be like, all right, I'm going to do this today, and I'll pick 2 or 3 events and train them. But since I've come on with Matty, I will be, say, like heavy deadlift session. Yeah. And at the end of that session, he'll have an event sitting at the end of the program.
So you're going to finish off with that event?
When I'm already in a state of fatigue, like, because as he says, like on the day when you're competing.
Can you give us an example of one of those training sessions, as in just a little snippet at the end?
One of the more fun ones that I would have enjoyed was I was probably doing around 80% deadlifts, for a couple of repetitions, 3 or 4 sets of, maybe 5, 6 reps. And then I had to do sandbag work. But before I had to move and run with the sandbag, he had me doing good mornings with the sandbag. So
very good, yeah.
Gripping the sandbag, working away with the good mornings. And then it was like, I think it was like 4 by 10 meters twice, with like competition weight plus whatever percentage, like, so to be working harder than I should be on the day.
Okay.
And then after that, then it was straight back into, competition weight up to the shoulder for sandbags. Like, and sandbags are not the nicest thing in the world to be messing around with, especially when you're gassed out.
No, they're very awkward as well, trying to get the movement. Yeah. And in any sport or any type of event, it's a lot to do with skill as well. Yeah. If we're learning how to kick a ball or how to jump or how to throw in athletics, or, as you're lifting sandbags. I was looking at an event there during the week in the strongman. It was like a block. The cube. And it looked really like it was 80 kgs, 100 kgs. And they were finding it very, very difficult for lads that are pressing a lot of weight. We found it difficult to lift 100 kgs off the floor and press it overhead.
They used it in Ireland's Strongest Man 2 years ago, I think.
Yes, seen that, yeah.
Yeah, and like the first block, maybe you might get it to your chest and you press it, but like once it gets past here, it's this, and it's it can be dangerous too, like.
Yeah, I did see one of the lads that he actually placed it on top of his head and he split himself down through the middle.
I'm pretty sure it was Jack Harrington.
I'm not too sure what his name was.
I would consider Jack to be a good friend. Like, he's local from Longford. Actually, he won the Republic of Ireland's Strongest Man that year as well. And his fiance, actually, they're getting married in a couple of weeks, is Jade Hoare, and she's Ireland's Strongest Woman under 82 kilos. Like,
very good.
And they're both local to Longford too. Like, so.
And what is your? You see an event, you enter a competition, you see an event coming up, and there's one event, and you say, "Oh shit, that's my worst event."
It used to be Farmer's Walk until I developed a better grip. Now it's just deadlift. I fucking hate deadlift.
Deadlifting, yeah. It is what it is. There's no hiding from it.
Yeah.
Like with carries, you can sort of nearly move the body around, get away with it. Deadlift is on the spot. You're pulling from the floor. Yeah. It's probably the hardest lift of them all.
Yeah, my levers aren't the best for it, in my opinion. But it was always something I was weaker at. My hamstrings, glutes definitely need to be built upon, and it's something that we're focusing on at the moment. But I have developed it massively in the last year or two. But my last comp was the INSF, and I pulled my back on the first lift of it.
That was recently in Galway.
Yeah, but it's Ireland's. It's OSG, I think, and GSP Promotions, Ireland's Strongest Man under 120 kilos. It's going to be fast and heavy and hard show. Like, it's good. Like,
obviously, there's different weight categories, and so does each event have a different weight class when you're going to it?
Not every event.
Not every event.
So, for example, the league event, and then kind of most smaller competitions, you will have like novice, intermediate, and then you got up to the bigger guys then, which is the pros.
Yeah.
And then like in a weighted competition, most of the time for lads, you'd be under 90, over 90. You know? And then with the INSFS, yeah, sorry, you're going to have under 70, under 80, under 90, under 105, and then you have opens. You know, so there's a lot there. And then the females then is like 57, 64, 73, 82.
But like the Olympic lifting, strong powerlifting.
Yeah, and I find the weight class is great because someone like me, I love the sport. I really want to compete as much as I can. Yeah. But sometimes some of the competitions just...
Well, if you're up against somebody who's, example, 100 kgs, super strong...
In the novice competition, it doesn't make a difference what weight you are.
And is there masters competitions?
There is masters, yeah.
So what age do they start?
40 plus.
40 plus?
Yeah, I'll be there next year.
Very good. I might enter the 50 plus.
There's that again as well with the OSG.
And would you have many older athletes competing?
There is. Like I did it... The last competition I did, actually, the one, the under 80s, there was another fella in that who was actually over 40 as well. Like, you know, like you don't have to go into masters when 50s? You're over 40s. Not that I know of in Ireland. But there probably is. So same again.
Make a start and
be very good
be a champion straight away.
Wouldn't be very good at pulling up names, but there is one man. He's famous around the world. Is Mark Felix, like, and he's I think nearly 60. I think it could even be in his 60s, like, and he was competing in Britain's Strongest Man there 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. He has the world record Hercules hold, like, and stuff like that.
Yeah, like so. I think it's important for people, you know, as they get older. 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, that they shouldn't be afraid to go and try these events because they are safe.
Oh, yeah.
They're safer. Like, I know from study and research that there's actually more injuries when people are going running and they're only running 5Ks, 10Ks. If you go to the gym and you're lifting, you're looking at fixing technique, you're building strength over time, that you will be stronger for longer. Your longevity, you will live longer. You'll have a healthier life.
It's definitely more beneficial to somebody to be doing resistance training. That's how I would word it as well, to somebody who's maybe elderly or female, because if you say strength, sometimes it puts them off.
They're afraid of the strength word.
Yeah, so you say resistance training, that's what I would use anyway when I'm talking to them. And, you know, tendons, ligaments, you know,
joints,
all that kind of stuff. They're the things that they need to worry about, especially as they're getting a little bit older. And if they're doing resistance training, especially kind of multiple repetitions, instead of lifting really heavy,
higher reps,
the higher reps at the lighter weight, then it's going to put more kind of blood flow into the ligaments and tendons and build them up and make it stronger, you know, over time. Like, so injury then is a lot less.
As you're saying that, so that's for the older adult, and you can bring that back again to the younger athletes.
Yeah, youth in sport is crazy.
So I'd be looking at and telling people, you know, whatever you're starting when you're younger, you should be doing it then when you're older. So you're looking to build tissue resistance, all that type of stuff, that young athletes now, I think at the moment, are lifting way too much weight at a young age because obviously they're in the gym younger and they're in for a few years, but it tends to seem to be load. And
it's one of the massive downfalls to the technology that we have, as in the abundance of information, because they're online, Instagram, TikTok, and they're seeing these lifts or these movements
from young athletes in China and Russia, and
that's it.
They absolutely hammered them for lifting.
Like, we have the issue in the gym, obviously, with students coming in after school. Like, so like, I try to be in there as much as I can. You know, if I see guys who are going to do something a little bit silly, I'll be like, lads, you know, think about
like that. They got to understand as well that it takes time for the ligaments and joints to strengthen up, and that's not done in 2 or 3 years. That takes 4, 5, 6 years, especially somebody starting, because they tend to start around 14, 15 now. I had obviously trained a lot of young athletes, at 200 or 300 young athletes a week, and it's just to try and obviously the weights would give them more exercises in the say the hour that they're in. Higher reps, so up to 20 reps, and just give them less and more over time, and then they get stronger gradually. And because the physios at the moment are inundated with young athletes, and I get calls and saying, what's happening down there, what's happening here? They're all injured, like, and it is partly to do with completely overtraining. Not all the gym, it tends to be pitch as well.
I think, like, it falls upon the coach, you know, the head coach to make sure that the strength coach is up to date with what's going on. And, you know, at the same time too, it's down to the parents, you know, to educate their children as well, not just be like, and to be mindful of where they're going and what they're doing when they're training for sports. Like,
what's the youngest strongman competition? So what age do you have to be to enter a strongman?
There's a juniors, which is like 17 to 23.
Okay.
So, and then there's an Ireland's Strongest Kid happening in September.
You have a kid going?
Yeah, he's going in. Yeah, he's
what age is he?
He's only 8, like, and he's
8.
Yeah, he's driven. He enjoys the sport, you know. But I think he's at the point now where it's so diluted because he's been at so many competitions with me. And he sat there and he'll watch me lift the first time, and then I won't see him for the rest of the day. Like, you know, he'll be off messing with some kids. Yeah. In fact, Aisha had to give out to him for jumping down the stairs at the last competition, which I'd say was a pretty scary experience.
But it's a great interest for the kids, and it is safe. Like, people have got to understand that resistance training, strength training is very, very straight for young athletes, as long as they're being coached and watched. Yeah. Obviously, if you're letting them in the gym on their own, it could be a nightmare, or they can get injured. But definitely to allow them to have the freedom to lift a bit, try things out, show them the technique, and it's long-term beneficial.
I've hands-on experience with that exact point. Like, so here in Longford, we've the swimming club, which is extremely successful. We've got like the Jerry Quinn holds national records. We've got Dara Green came from Longford Swimming Club, you know, at the Olympics there. So, you know, but the club themselves didn't have a strength and conditioning base. Like, they were swimming all the time. Yeah. You know, but once Dara moved from Longford then into, you know, up in the NASDAQ and stuff in Dublin, you know, he was being given strength coaching from that point on. But it didn't exist in Longford. So I approached the Longford swimming coach, the head coach, and I offered out SNC service for the club. That's been running now for nearly a year and a half, I think, because they have an off season, so we weren't working through that. And there could be 14 kids on a Tuesday, 14 or 15, 16 kids on a Friday. They come in and we do exactly that.
Most of the clubs now have their own gyms as well, especially hurling, football, GA, that type of stuff. So they have access to more strength stuff. And sometimes you find if kids aren't getting on the team, that they will jump into either bodybuilding or strongman or powerlifting or Olympic lifting, which is a great thing. But one of the things out there that I've sort of got a little bit of a fear of, like, there is a lot of, say, supplements, drugs. People want to get bigger, they want to get stronger, they're looking online, there's so much stuff available. For the strongman itself, is that's natural, or is it tested?
There's 2 paths you can go. You can go the untested path. It's just untested. There's no name for it. There's no name. Just, you know, it's the untested path. Okay. Like, you know, so the league is not tested. You know, anybody can enter it. Doesn't make a difference whether they use PEDs or not. Yeah. They can go in. They can compete. Nobody tests them. But the INSF, yes. Oh, Jesus. Anyway, the natural league in Ireland, natties as we call it. You're tested. There's 2 federations. There's WAI, which is the World Heavyweights Events Association, and then the Ireland Natural Strength Federation. I compete in the INSF, anyway. And if you go to one of their competitions, one person from each category is required to be tested on the day. Yeah. But you have a membership with them. And I'm pretty sure if they call upon you, you can be tested at any point. Like,
you got to be ready any time, and you just can't be taken, which is great for people
like me
don't want to get caught into that.
Because I don't want to be kind of up against somebody who's massively PED'd, like,
exactly.
You know, obviously the recovery time is faster, and there is massive benefits to them.
It is, yeah.
I don't condone it at all, and I'm totally against it from my own personal thing. But everybody has their own things, like. But in strongman, it's massively used. Massively, all.
It's the same in powerlifting. It's weightlifting. I'm not too sure of, because I haven't followed weightlifting as much. But definitely for powerlifting, I followed Westside Barbell for years. Louis Simmons, and they just
absolutely love it. Yeah.
I trained his system. I trained with his trainers.
The conjugate method and stuff.
Conjugate method, yeah. And definitely the method works. But obviously, they say they're the strongest gym in the world. Yeah. That it's because of they're taking supplement type.
Yeah, like they were experimenting with everything. Yeah. Not like when they have the podcast, the Westside Barbell podcast, and they talk about, you know, the equipment that they were using, and the triple ply shirts for benching and all this kind of crap. But they never really spoke too much about PEDs, like But they were obviously in use, like. But it just comes with.
And
the
it's
sport,
very.
like.
Is that are they easy to get? Do you see that around the sport or?
I've only ever been approached online, So like I have my What Limits Instagram, and I post constantly to do with strongman and sports and etc. So I will obviously get contacted by somebody who sells PEDs. I just don't even reply to them. I'm just like, go away, and I'll block them because it's nothing that I want. But other people could fall into it, and it's not safe in one hand because you don't know what you're getting.
You don't know what you're getting. Yeah.
Like obviously, there's going to be guys who take it that'll argue, "Oh, I know what I'm getting. I know where I'm getting it from. I know exactly how much you should be taking." But at the same time, like you're never guaranteed that it's going to be that way. And same again, I'm not really educated on the matter, so I can't really delve too much into the side of taking it. But I know as from not taking it, it's something that definitely doesn't appeal to me whatsoever. So.
And I see most people that compete, they normally have a why. Why, what's your big why? Why do you compete? Why do you want to compete? Is there something driving you on, or is it just?
I don't really have a why I compete. Like, as I mentioned in the 30-minute or 30-second thing, but it was actually 16. But I come from a background of alcoholism and drug addiction. Like.
Yeah.
So when I kind of gave that up, I needed to fill the void with something, like, and I didn't attend any of the general things that people would do when they kind of go into recovery. I just did it myself, and I use training as my outlet, like, and that's my go-to. So every day when I'm training, I'm in there, and I use it to vent, and I use it to kind of stabilize myself. And
had you trained before you hit alcohol, or
no?
So what age were you when you?
I don't really remember properly. I just remember it was about 10 years ago when I stopped taking drugs. Okay. And I kind of picked up a weight set, like, small little 1-inch bar in the house with a couple of York yellow plastic plates, if you're doing supersets, thinking I was the bee's knees, where
I was pumped.
where I was about 8.5 or 9 stone and like a rake, like, so. But I think the reason I compete, or one of the main reasons why I would kind of go towards competitions, is because if I have a goal to work towards, it's a lot easier for me to go to the gym. Yeah. And like I am at the point now where I don't need to worry about dedication and consistency and, being motivated, because it's in me.
It's natural now.
But in the beginning, like, I had to have a goal. Yeah. And like, the goal was to compete. And then if I wanted to compete, I needed to make sure I was ready. And then to be ready, I had to train,
Yeah, I think it's important for anybody that's trains. They should set themselves a goal, a target, something to look forward to, a challenge themselves, whether it's doing a 5K, if it's to get a stronger deadlift, stronger squat. But because, as you say, if you don't have that, you're sort of floating around. You're just training for the sake of training. Yeah. You could go in this week and, example, squat 100 kgs. You could be there in 3 weeks' time and you're only in 70 kgs. Mm-hmm. It depends how you feel on the day. So I think goal setting is important.
I get a lot of it in the gym with clients. Like, they'll come in and, for example, fat loss is a massive one. How do I lose the weight? Like,
how do you lose fat? And they go on the cardio machines.
Yeah, and I'm like, and then there's other fellas there who are like, how do I get really strong? Like, and I tell them there's a process to it. You gotta have mini markers, like, set a goal.
Gotta have a program, gotta have it written down.
Yeah, the program is there.
Gotta increase.
And it's one of the first things I'll do with most of my clients is like small achievable goals. Yeah. Pick something that we can reach right now in the next week or two. Then look at the bigger frame 2 months down the line. And then, maybe in the long term have a long term goal of maybe doing a strongman competition. So like a lot of my clients that I teach PT, they would have just started in general just to get stronger or be more healthy. The majority of them now are like, I want to do strongman. I want to push over, and it's something that I will continuously push, like, but I will never force it upon a client who doesn't want to do it either. Like, if their goal is just to be healthy, then I'll be like, right, let's set a milestone of specific lift.
It's creating many events even in the gym to get them sort of into it. And
but I run a class. Like, 2 of them are part
strongman class.
Yeah, 2 of them are part of Core Leisure's fitness class timetable. Pure Power Circuits, the name of the class. We run on a Monday and a Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Like, and I could have anything between 8 and 24 people in that class. And it's basically.
Where's the class held?
In Longford Sports and Leisure Centre.
So for anybody that is listening is based in Longford, go and give
David a shout. Yeah, we'll put you through it. Like, and you could have anything in that class. there's always a cardio aspect to it, obviously, because it's something that you do need to do. But you could be doing, like the other day, I brought in our Ukrainian deadlift, which is basically standing on 2 boxes and grabbing a bar from down between your 2 legs.
Okay, yeah.
You know, so, and it's a strange lever. It's a hard one to pull, but really lightweight and high repetition in a class format. 30 seconds on, moving on. Then you could be going straight to a sandbag to shoulder, you know, onto an assault bike, you know. And in the beginning, it started off slow. It was like 6-7 people kind of coming in every week, and now a year and a half, 2 years later, as I said, there's times where I have 24 people, and I'm like, fuck, where am I going to put them all?
That's excellent.
You know? Yeah,
just throw them
it's
in.
great. And then as a knock off of that, in my own time, myself and my partner, my fiance April, we both run what's called Freak Fridays, and we break down technical movements of all the strongman
Oh, very
stuff.
good.
So we do like
I'd be interested in maybe coming down some Friday for that.
So we did a deadlift technical breakdown yesterday, and the class was small enough. It was good. It was great crack. Each one of them that was there nearly pulled a PB from what we did, because they were able to break down their movements, set them into a right position properly for their levers, you know, getting them tied in nice, and we were teaching them how to use straps properly, you know, foot placement, taking shoes off if the heel and the shoe is too high.
Just on the deadlift, because I did see it on the competition, one of the strongman competition, and they were all using, you know, conventional deadlifts. Is that the standard they have to lift, or can they do like sumo?
In strongman, conventional is the standard. There's like a running jokes in strongman about sumo was not a real deadlift. You know? Yeah. So
obviously it's a short lever.
Like, I do appreciate that. Yes, you know, it is a specific movement, and you can get very, very strong in it. And you know, but if you don't lift sumo and you try to pull sumo at a weight that you would do your conventional, you're probably going to rip your abductors off. Yeah. Like, you know?
But is it allowed in a strongman?
No. Most competitions will say it in the rules that it has to be conventional, and they say sumo. So your hands, sumo is hands inside.
Yeah, so inside and feet pretty wide.
But you can stand wide as long as your hands are outside your knees.
Okay.
So if you're out here, then you're not doing as you know.
It's a little bit harder. Then.
Now some referees might pull you up on it and tell you bring in them feet, or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But the majority of the time, for a strongman, it's conventional, like so.
And how do you relax?
Me,
what do you do? Do you relax?
Me, no, my my neurodivergent issues don't let me relax. No, I enjoy house and techno music, and
very good.
Tipping off to a rave or an event and playing a bit of music myself. That's my go-to. I can zone out for 3 hours playing music, like, and when I walk away from it, then I'm just totally level, like so.
And on competition day, it's not like the darts. You don't walk out to a song, do you? Or
no, I don't know.
Does any of them do that?
No, look, I've never seen it in a competition where, like, there was one. That's actually the very first competition that I did. I was on about earlier on. There was a DJ there, and he was like, "Oh, what song do you want us to play when you're lifting?" Like, and I gave him. I
think it's a good idea.
Yeah, it is. I gave him, like, I know they probably do it for powerlifting, do they?
What would you play?
Jesus, it'd be very hard. Most of the tunes that I enjoy could be 11 minutes long. Because it's techno, you know, and they're very progressive in build. So unless I'm listening to it in the warm-up area before I tip out, like, you know, and
lift just start about 5 minutes in.
But that was an issue for me in the beginning of my training when I was very young. My training age was like, I was listening to music in headphones, and I was like, oh, right, and I have to have this song, and I have to wait for the beat to drop before it, you know, and it used to put me off when I went to an event because they could be playing heavy metal. You know
what you mean? Like, so you keep your own headphones on until you get out there? No. I just took the headphones away. So you just tune in.
I will, whatever's in the background, because you never know what's going to happen on the day.
You've got to tune out, really, don't you? Once you're competing,
it's massive. Got to, like, the psychological side of it. Like, you know, you cannot be in control of your environment all the time. So when you go to an event, you can't dictate what music is on, or you can't say who can talk and whatever. Like, obviously, people will go a little bit quiet if you're doing a maximum lift, you know, but you can't tell people not to roar at you, to keep going, or, you know. So if you have your headphones on, that's fine. And you see some lads do walk out with headphones on. Yeah. But you might miss a cue.
And your nerves now compared to what they were at the very start? Do you get nervous still, or?
I still get nervous.
Do you get nervous, just say at the start of the event, or each event?
It'll be the start of the event.
When
I'm in the warm-up area and everybody's getting ready. Like, the nerves are there, but I use it, like, you know, and I kind of try to channel it. But I like. They say
it's a good thing.
I like to chat to everybody. So instead of me being real nervous, sitting in the corner, getting all fidgety, I'll just go and start waffling to somebody.
What about the lads that don't like talking?
They have their headphones on.
But they turn away from you.
Yeah, most people, you see them, like, if they're in the zone and whatever, like, you know, and as I said, I got to know a lot of them. And most of the guys who are in the warm-up area are extremely approachable.
It's the same people going to competitions all the time.
before I went with Matty as a coach, I got more tips and pointers in the warm up area from other lads. They'd be like, "Man, geez, what are you doing? Like, be careful with that. That's going to hurt you." Or,
it is the beauty of sport at especially strongman, the powerlifting, Olympic lifting. Everybody is there, as you said before, is about competing and trying to PB yourself. And whatever happens to the person beside you, you're encouraging him as well. If he does better than you, you're happy. Because it's a goal. It's something you're chasing. Obviously, if you lose out by a point and you lose a podium place, you'd be disappointed. But I think the general gist of most of that sport is encouragement, technique, helping each other fix stuff. I've been at a good few competitions before, like Olympic lifting, powerlifting, we held it for yourself, even the CrossFit stuff. It's all encouragement, which is brilliant for keeping people in the sport. And I don't think anybody intimidates you to that they don't want you to do well. So it's all about the better you do, the better I'm going to do. It's
the way it works with strongman is the stronger my opponent is, the stronger I need to be.
Exactly.
But you will get the odd egotistical person, and they just be like, and they'll blank you off, or they get annoyed if you beat them and whatever. But you just rip the piss out of them, and if they can't handle it, that's their fault.
they'll get over it.
Yeah.
So what's next on the horizon? I know you're doing a competition in 3 weeks' time. How many competitions have you set for this year?
I'm taking a massive step back this year. I have a bigger focus. More so of my education side of things. I'm delighted to be able to go up to GSP and kind of.
So you're learning from there.
Nearly like a mentorship with Matty. Yeah. So Matty is going to be. I'm like going up to watch what he's doing. Observe how he coaches and his techniques. We talk then. During the session and give feedback and stuff like that. And it's great. It's really good for me. I've learned so much in the couple of weeks that I'm doing it. And I've been able to implement a lot of it into my own training and my own coaching, which is great. So I've taken a massive step back from competitions, but I'm still probably going to do around 4, I think.
Yeah, I think would it be easier to peak for 4 than it would be for 8, obviously? It'd
be easier to build.
Yeah, to get stronger and keep
the peak is fine. You can peak pretty handy as far as things go in the scope of it. But to be able to build first, to be able to prepare for the peak is a different thing. And I wasn't giving myself a chance. But Matty obviously didn't have control over what I was booking. So
I know what you mean.
He did say at one point that if I booked myself into one of his competitions, he was just going to refund me.
I think it's important to have a mentor and somebody who's been through the game and understands, how many times that you should compete, what your weaknesses are, where we need to work on, by training that you have your own idea. And the more voices that people that are above you have done it before, been there, had trained many athletes, it's easier for them to say, look, we need to increase this. And sometimes it's easier for yourself to listen and just get on with the training, do the training program they have, and a better structure. So I think it's important, and that's the area you're looking to get into yourself.
Yeah, but it's extremely hard to program yourself.
Yeah.
Because whether you want to or not, you're going to be biased towards certain exercises. And
I love the deadlift. I want to keep deadlifting.
yeah. But now I remember when I was programming myself, I would try to deadlift, at least once a week, but I didn't, or I didn't push myself to where I should have been, or, whereas now when I'm looking at the plan, the percentages are there, the RPE scale is in front of me, and I'm like, right, this is what I have to do today. And I'll get in and I'll get it done because I'm been told to do it, and it's good to have that person there, who knows what they're doing, that I can have confidence is telling me to do the right thing. And I think that's something, it's one of the main reasons why I pursued what I'm doing with Matty, is because I want to make sure that whoever I'm coaching has the confidence and in me to give them the best result as a coach.
And podium finishes this year?
No, I don't think so. The competition I have next is OSG, weighted Ireland's, So
that's weight category as well?
Yeah, so I'll be competing at under 80. I'll make the weight easy enough. I've started a new diet plan from a fella called the bodybuilding butcher, Richie. It's going really well. Only just started it, but the meal prep is a killer because it's very time.
Are you prepping for a week, or are you prepping for?
Currently I'm only trying to transfer from my old prep style to a new one, so it's hard because I used to be like my partner helped me an awful lot because she's at home a bit more than I am, so it's like I'd come home and the dinner could be ready for me.
Prepping food.
Yeah, but I think you're talking maybe 2 hours twice a week at the moment, which is not too bad.
It's not too bad, yeah.
But it's the cravings. It's like, oh, I want that chocolate bar, or Jesus, that milkshake looks good.
Have you a sweet tooth?
Yes, it's a problem because when you got kids and that press is full.
Full of, yeah, it's easy to grab. Yeah, I suppose when you're coming in tired, you have a long day at work, it's easy to sit down, have a cup of tea, grab a bar.
It's usually when it gets me, like, you know.
In the evening, I think for most people is the weakest point.
Yeah, well, I don't know
what do you do to stop that?
I try, like, I have a last meal as part of my plan, so I try to get that into me as soon as I get home.
And would you have something sweet along with that meal just to kill the craving, or?
No, well, like I am currently, but I'm not supposed to be. Do you know what I mean? But one of the days there's a whey protein mixed in with Greek yogurt, and it's really nice. Like, so that's sweet enough, and it's nice. There's a bit of peanut butter in there as well. Like, so that'll kill that craving, and that's on a non-training day as well, which is good. Like, but the nutrition side of things is definitely something I have to brush up on myself for my own clients, because I'm only kind of learning now about how important it is for performance and etc. Like,
for performance, eating for performance is crucial if you want to compete at the highest level, or compete at any level nowadays, really, because the knowledge out there has gone vast the last 5 years, 10 years, and eating. I've trained a lot of athletes myself, and we obviously pre-match meals. We have, what do we eat the hour before, 30 minutes before? What do we eat at half time? Are you fueling in between? Like,
and that's something that I'm
even
just
your
getting into,
even
like,
your events.
Yeah.
What makes a massive difference if you eat something from event 1 to event 2. What you're eating, what type of food you're eating. Is it just gels? Is it a quick fix? So it is important to get that structure in place for anybody that's competing, I suppose.
Yeah, no, it is very important. And then just for the general gym athlete, like,
the same.
For them, like, there's no point for you to go and eat 12-inch pizza as a recovery meal. Like,
no, most definitely not.
Yeah, so as tempting as it is all the time.
Yeah. I'd like to thank you very much for everything we talked about today, and thanks for coming in. And where can people find you if they're looking to follow your journey?
Well, I'm online as What Limits.
What Limits?
Yeah. So
that's Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram. Like, there's generally a picture of either me lifting something heavy or myself and my partner at a competition. So
very good.
Yeah. And then Facebook, just David Harrington. There is a What Limits on Facebook, but it's not as active as I would like it to be. Time consuming. Social media is extremely so.
It takes time.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Thank you very much.
No problem, guys. Thank you.